Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, Middlers. Welcome back, or welcome. This is episode 149. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. I can't believe we're almost at 150 episodes. Such a milestone coming next week. So thank you if you've been here since the beginning or if you've binged. That's a lot of my voice. I've been getting a lot of messages recently that people are going back to episode 1 and listening all the way through. So also welcome to everyone who is now caught up. A while ago, I posted on Instagram about doing a Q&A episode, and then I never actually answered them. So I've pulled a few episodes out of these questions, but I wanted to answer the remaining questions. So that's what we're doing here today. My only announcement this week is that the last Reiki courses will be December 3rd and 4th for Reiki Level 2 and December 10th and 11th for Reiki Level 1. If you have been waiting to take a course, it's a good time to do it right before the holidays. Then you can practice on all your family when you're around them over the holiday season. It's a good gift for yourself. So if you want to register for one of those courses, I will leave the links down below in the show notes. And I am not feeling pulling a card today. I feel like last week there was 3. This week we're jumping right into the Q&A. So thank you for everyone who always submits these questions. I love to hear what the collective is thinking and what answers you're looking for. If I can help, I am happy to help. So I'm going to answer as many as I can. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, @mediuminthemiddle is my only account, and I will never DM you for a reading. So if you did get a DM from me, please know that wasn't me. That was a scammer. But let's get into it. All right, starting nice and easy. What podcast program do I use, and did I teach myself? I use GarageBand, and yes, I taught myself. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that you can watch. Learning how to record a podcast is easy. Learning how to edit is hard. So my editing curve took me so long after I got how to manage the audio. But I recommend finding something easy and going with it. There's a lot more programs now that you can record and upload and edit all in one. I think Anchor is one of them. So just test out a few if you're looking. The next question is, how do you know for sure it's spirit in your mind's eye and not just a thought? This is a really good question because I think the short answer is you'll not ever know for sure. And a lot of this work, people are looking for that tangible, for sure, 100% absolutely message. Sometimes we have to take spirit's messages. We have to take the subtle cues. We have to really trust our intuition. And there's not going to be any 100% guarantee behind that. But just know that if you start to accept those things, they happen more often. When we're our own biggest critics, I find we're less likely to accept the messages. And it's what's the worst case scenario? If you think it's your dad trying to send you a message, but you're no, it's probably not. Why don't you just take the message from dad? Is that harming anyone? Is that bad? Is it bad that something made you think of him? Is it bad that the lights in the bathroom flickering you thought were him? Instead of just sitting there and poo-pooing on yourself and telling yourself all the reasons why you probably made it up, why don't we just accept it? So the more that you can learn to trust your intuition, your mind's eye, what you see, what you know, number one, you're going to see way more because you're going to realize it's everywhere. But you start to know more and more for sure when things become more like patterns. So the first few times you might not know for sure, but eventually you know. I know when it's spirit in my house or when something is just weird or something just flickered. The lights went out, whatever it may be. You start to know because you start to trust. So you have to build the trust. This isn't the follow-up question, but the follow-up question would be, Steph, how do you learn to trust? Keep track of whenever you're right, or pay attention to whenever you think spirit is popping in, and then see what's going on. What were you doing? Where were you going? What were you thinking about? Did you have a question on your mind? All of those things will really start to provide you answers. I use this analogy a lot in my Reiki courses. And if you think of yourself like a car, we're lucky when we buy a car, it comes with a manual. Hey, when this light on the dashboard is showing, it means this. Hey, when this pops up, it means this. As humans, we didn't come with a manual, so we have to write our own. So you need to figure out, hey, when I see this in the corner of my eye, it means this. Hey, when I get shivers all over my body, it means this. Hey, when I'm woken up every morning at 3:33, it means this. So you can go your whole life without writing your manual. You can, or you can do the work. So the quicker you get to work in writing your manual, you'll start to know for sure more what's going on. I've been asked this a lot, so I just want to say it again, even though I said it on a podcast. Who was that psychic that I went and saw? It was Denise from Grateful Messenger, and she is amazing. I highly recommend her, and I'm so happy for everyone that has been going to see her. Okay, moving along to the next question. If my dog passes away, are they still around you? Yes. Pets have spirits just like humans have spirits. So in the same way where you can connect with a soul, you can also connect with pets. Pets also come up in readings all the time. For me, I don't think I've ever received a pet in spirit without a human. Like, I've never just talked to a pet. But it's funny, when a medium named Brie and I did that live group reading, she channeled 2 pets, I think. And at the end, she was like, it's so funny that we can be sitting there and talking to your mom, talking about your childhood, talking about your siblings, talking about your dad, and, dry eyes. But as soon as I mention Fluffy the dog, tears. And it's so true. And now that I have a pet, I totally understand why. So yes, they're still around. Don't worry. Your pets have souls. Ooh, next question. How important is diet and lifestyle when practicing Reiki? Good question. So I'll say a few things about this. Number 1, we do Reiki level 1 first, which is all about you, because we start at home. We need to do things on ourselves, our own energy, before we go out and work on anybody else, which also means cleaning up your home first. So you don't have to have a perfect diet or lifestyle, but it definitely does help your energy. And I just like to pick on TikTok. So there's this one lady for a while, she was popping up on my TikTok, and she just aggravated me so much. She was doing like pendulum work, and you could ask 5 questions for $100. They had to be yes or no questions, and you had to tell her who you were talking to, what their relation was to you, and how they died. And it was crazy. She would be like full in 2 seconds. And I was like, I'm in the wrong profession. I should just be on TikTok. Anyways, so she was doing this, and she was like, if I didn't like the way they died, that I'm not going to talk to them and all these things, because she was so much of an empath that she could feel how they passed. Fair enough. That's how you work. Anyways, she was sitting there on live, smoking darts, smoking cigarettes, like chain smoking cigarettes, and drinking Coca-Cola. And it just drove me nuts. I was like, how can you be sitting here claiming to like help others or connect to their energy or connect to their loved ones when you're chain smoking cigarettes and like cracking Coca-Cola after Coca-Cola after Coca-Cola? And I'm not saying like don't drink pop, but that's not the epitome of health. And I don't know, if I smoked cigarettes and drank Coke instead of water, I don't think you'd want to come see me to help you about your energy. So just be mindful of how, this is what I want to say. Just be mindful of how your diet and lifestyle affect your energy. Because when you're practicing Reiki, that is affected, yes. So I don't want to be like hungover when I'm working. I don't want to have a bad diet when I'm working. I want to make sure that I'm eating properly. I want to make sure that I'm not like starving at work. I want to make sure that I'm getting the nutrients, the sleep that I need. So you don't have to have a certain diet or lifestyle, but I definitely think you should be taking care of yourself. If people are coming to me to hold space and energy for them, I should have my shit together. Is kind of what I think about it. So I'm not going to tell you to have a specific diet or lifestyle, but just be mindful of like what works best for you and your body. Do you need certain sleeps? Do you need certain foods? Do you need to cut certain things out? Do you know smoking's bad for you and you need to quit? Work on that. I'm not saying quit tomorrow, but like that's something that you can be working towards so that your body feels good. We want to feel good. So why we start at home, level 1. We learn about you first before we go out and help anybody else. While we're on the Reiki train, this is another really good question. Does mental unwellness, depression, anxiety affect someone's ability to perform Reiki treatments? And the answer is no. So that will not affect your ability to do Reiki. Again, if you are giving Reiki, you're also receiving Reiki, so it would be good for you. But kind of going back to that last question, depending on how you're feeling, would I recommend working with others if you're not feeling your best? No. Would I recommend giving if you feel like you can't give? No. Would I recommend stretching yourself too thin when you maybe can't mentally handle it right now? No. But it is available for you. So again, self Reiki I would definitely do, but if you're not feeling up for doing it on others, you don't ever have to. That's when you would kind of take the day off. Same with any other job. But it wouldn't affect your ability to do Reiki treatment. So if you have anxiety, if you have depression, it is still available to you. And honestly, it's going to be very helpful for you. But the focus should be on you first. Good question. Ooh, we'll jump over to a PSYCH-K question. What are the biggest benefits to PSYCH-K and what differences have you noticed? Ooh, good question. Okay, the biggest benefit of PSYCH-K is that you can literally rewrite your subconscious mind. So any limiting beliefs that you have can be changed instantly. It's actually insane. So the differences that I've noticed is limiting beliefs that have changed literally instantly. Sometimes limiting beliefs are harder to tell instantly because it's your behavior that's changing. But to give you some examples, I've done sessions on people where we're working on self-love. And then they walk by a mirror and I'll get a message and they'll say, "Hey, Steph, I walked by a mirror and I thought, oh, my hair looks nice today." And they said, "I never walk by a mirror and find something nice about myself. I always find one thing I don't like about myself." Once someone was trying to get more healthy. So we programmed, "I like vegetables." She was like, "I don't like vegetables." And one day she was making a ragu and I got a message. She's like, "Hey, Steph, I didn't think I'd ever say this, but I'm making a ragu right now for dinner. And I just had a thought in my mind like, ooh, look at all these vegetables." She was like, "I would never think that." I talk about it all the time on Instagram, but I did a PSYCH-K balance I like to take out the recycling because I literally hate taking out the recycling. It'll sit by the door for like days. I mean, days, 5 days, 7 days. I will trip over it every single day before I take it outside. And in Banff, we have these little like recycle stations that you have to walk to. Mine's literally directly behind my house. It's not far away, but I still hate it. Anyway, so I like to take out the recycling. And now when my recycling bin gets full, there is a trigger in my brain that literally thinks, "Ooh, I get to take out the recycling soon." And then my conscious mind is like, why in the hell am I thinking that? I've also done like some immediate things. I hate going on first dates. Hate them. It makes me want to throw up. So the last time I went on a date, I was like feeling like I wanted to throw up. I was like, I'm not going. I'm going to cancel. Like, I'm just going to tell this guy I'm not meeting him. I was like, wait, I could PSYCH-K this. So I PSYCH-K'd, I like going on first dates. And then I like marched to my date and I didn't feel like I wanted to throw up anymore. The biggest benefits are that you can change your beliefs. And the difference is you start to act in that way. If you believe you can't save money, you act in that way. If you believe you're not good enough, you act in that way. If you believe you can't do something, you act in that way. Even people who have been afraid of heights, they have no longer been afraid of heights because of PSYCH-K. So the disclaimer that I'll say with this is that the wording has to be precise. So the more specific you can be, the better. So for example, I did the recycling one. The recycling one's easy because I can see it when it starts to kind of fade. And I want to take out I like to take out the recycling. And I noticed one day it was sitting by the door for a few days, and I was like, what? I balance this. Why? I'm like, but I really want to take it out. Like, I have a desire, but I don't have time. And I was like, oh, I have to balance. I have time to take out the recycling. So now that I balanced, I want to take out the recycling and I have time to take out the recycling. It hasn't sat at the door ever since, but you have to find the hole. So in PSYCH-K, it's very important that we find your limiting belief. Do you believe you can't make money? Do you believe you don't deserve to make money? Do you believe you can't have more money than you need? What is the hole? Because when you get pretty specific on your belief and the hole, that's where you see the quickest results. But yeah, it is amazing. People are always like, this really works. I'm like, I know. That's why I freaked out about it. And that's why I talk to you guys about it all the time. This works a lot where, like, if you can't say you're a healer, if you can't say that you have abilities, if you can't say like those certain things, we just want to get any limiting beliefs out of the way so we can keep moving forward in your progress. Okay, next question. What were the little things that happened before major events happened in your mediumship? Ooh, this is a good question. So, if you've been a long time listener, you know the major thing that happened before my mediumship started was I took Reiki level 1. Then I had kind of weird things happening to me. Then I took Reiki level 2. Then that really opened it up. Then I took a crystal class. But besides those things happening, I will say that whenever things have opened up in my mediumship, it's because I've been doing the work. I've been practicing. I've been taking a course. I've been like putting my money where my mouth is. So I've been investing time in myself. I've taken groups. I've been doing courses, classes, participating in something, buying a book, whatever it is. It's always interesting to see when things start to up level. Also, I find paying attention. So kind of going back to that first question, how do you know for sure? The more you pay attention, the more you kind of collect that evidence against yourself, the more you start to see mediumship, when you learn to request things. Also, in my life personally, when things happen in threes, that's how I know I'm kind of being slapped in the face. So if something happens to me 3 times, if the same type of thing happens 3 times, the same situation, I meet the same type of person, anything that happens in threes is usually when there's like, ooh, something's happening here. There's going to be an up level. There's going to be a change. But the best piece of information I can say for this is pay attention. Because if you're paying attention, that's when you'll really start to up level your mediumship, because you'll notice. And we have to notice. Someone asked, am I gluten-free because you're allergic? Asking for a friend. Yes, I am gluten-free and dairy-free, not by choice. I get very, very, very sick. I would love to eat gluten and dairy. And kind of going back to that diet and lifestyle question, I think that I became gluten and dairy intolerant because of energy work. I also go periods where like I can't even look at meat. I don't eat a lot of meat, but there are times where I just like will go weeks without eating meat and kind of not realizing it, or I'll kind of be disgusted by it. Same thing with like alcohol. There'll be times where I'm just like, ugh, no. But no, I'm actually allergic and it's really annoying. But it's been like 8 years. So, okay, next question. How do I start out my Reiki? Is there any special words that I say? I like this question. So now that I am here in my Reiki career, I just start. So you'll notice if you ever come for a session for me, my eyes are like half closed before you're even inside the room. My on switch is very on. It's the off switch that I have to really, really pay attention to and disconnect. But when I was first starting out, I used to put my hands together. I used to clear away Steph's energy. I would focus on the person that I was Reikiing. And then I used to call in Reiki. So I always refer to as my friend Reiki. So I would call in my friend Reiki, and I would kind of pull down, pull down, pull down, as if I'm like pulling the sky down, 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 down. And it would kind of feel like something poked me on the head. And when something poked me on the head and there was a really, really bright white light around my forehead, that's how I knew to begin. But at the beginning, I would kind of call in Reiki, clear out Steph, focus on my person that I'm working on. At the end, I like to thank Reiki, push them away, and push the person that I'm working on energy away from me. So I find a lot of people have an easier time starting. You want to set your intention, you want to clear your mind, you want to focus, but you really want to make sure you disconnect. So your closing is very important. I hope that helps, but try on different things. Try different things to start, try different things to end. See what you like, see what resonates with you. I used to like rub my hands together. You can say a little prayer, you can say a gratitude prayer, you can call Reiki in, you can set a declaration, you can set an intention. It just works, whatever works best for you. You kind of have to figure out what that is, and that'll probably change over your Reiki career as well. What do you like to do now? What do you like to do in 2 years from now? So just play with it a little bit, but know that disconnecting is kind of where you really, really, really want to focus. The on switch is usually easy. You got to remember the off. And then I got a few questions about being a Reiki practitioner and being a parent and juggling both of those things. So just know that even if you do Reiki just for your kids and your family, it is very, very helpful. How much time you have to like have a business and do things on the side is up to you. How dedicated you are, how organized you are, how much you want to. But right now I'm working with a lot of moms and they're like, I want to do Reiki. I'm like, okay, great. How many sessions do you want to do a week? They're like 2. I'm like, okay, great. When you say it like that, you can find 2 hours of in your week to be like, all right, you know what? Friday night at 7:00, I can take one person. Thursday night at 7:00, I can take one person. It's just figuring out what that actually means. Do you need a full-time business where you're seeing 20 people a week? Do you have time for that? Or is it just something you want to do and incorporate into your life? 2 hours a week, 1 hour a week, 3 hours a week, whatever it is. So whenever I get asked this question, I always say, what do you want? How many sessions a week do you want? And then once you have that number, then you can start to figure out when you have time for that. Is it 2 people on Saturday afternoons? Is it when your kid naps on Wednesdays? When do you have time? When you think about it like that, it'll be easier to schedule in. Ooh, and then the last question I actually want to save for a whole episode because I have a lot to say about this. But somebody asked about navigating the loss of a mentor and still appreciating what you learned from them. So not that they passed away, it's kind of like they don't align with you anymore. And I want to do a whole episode on this because I have a lot to say. So that will be coming. But thank you for your questions. I like how Reiki focused it was. I love when people are curious. Curious minds make me happy because it shows me what you're interested in. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I post a little question box on my Instagram every once in a while just to gauge the crowd and get some questions from you. So if you're not following over there, that's where I always post to get your questions. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate a rating and a review. It helps me out in the podcast world. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.